know that a little part of your bookstore funding goes to a great cause.
It's really a great thing. So I want all people at Notre Dame and in bookstore basketball to know that what we sponsor is going to something great, and that the kids really appreciate what we can provide for them.
If I had to describe Jumpball in one word, that word for me would be camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
One word to describe Jumpball. You can think of it. Tremendous.
Summarize Jumpball with one word.
One word to describe Jumpball is fantastic. Exciting.
Jumpball is high energy. A lot of fun for these kids.
This camp is just amazing. Just amazing.
Dedication. If there's one word that I would use to describe Jumpball, it would be unity.
It's extremely difficult.
Are you filming this?
One word. Trust me, one word is not enough. It's just awesome. Awesome.
Energy.
I guess that one word would be unforgettable.
Hey, welcome. This is the Jamaica Basketball Project. Thanks for hanging out with us on the live stream tonight. Thanks for watching on the replay if that's where you're checking us out. Super excited about tonight. You can get us, before I get to that, you can get us on Facebook and get us on YouTube. You can also hear the podcasts about a day later. They're posted on iTunes as well as Google Play and Spotify. We do this to create awareness for what we are doing in our quest for the Paris Olympics in 2024 and building a great national program for Jamaica and making history is what we're doing. And I find myself in this position in front of this laptop and this camera talking to you today because of a couple of guys that are on the live stream today. And 25 years ago, they started a camp called the Jumpball Basketball Camp, Jumpball Basketball Program. And I'm going to welcome them in one at a time here. The first one, Mr. Bill, Coach Bill, William Maloney. Thank you for coming. Bill, how you doing, man?
Great. How you doing, Rick?
Good. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah. Let's bring in your partner in crime here, Mr. Sutcliffe.
Hey.
Coach Chad.
I don't have as good a mustache, but
you don't have your COVID stash going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this, you guys. I mean, it's funny. I was talking to Bill a few minutes ago, sort of off the live stream here. And it's tough when you're talking to your pals about things you kind of already know. But I think one of the things that's cool about doing this is it gets a chance for us to tell people kind of some of the behind the scenes and how this whole thing started. And I guess, that's probably more than anything, the question I get asked all the time. How did you get started in this? How did this happen? 25 years. It doesn't seem like it's been that long. You guys certainly don't look like it's been that long. Bill, why don't I just start with you and just kind of give me the Reader's Digest of how you got started with this thing.
Yeah, well, it's a question I get all the time too. How'd that ever happen? How'd you end up doing this? It started when Chad and I were at Notre Dame, and after graduating, we both decided on the same thing to do. We signed up with the Notre Dame volunteer program in Jamaica, which is open to Notre Dame graduates. We get placed in positions where we might teach or work at an orphanage or some other things like that in Kingston. And I was fortunate enough to be placed in a teaching role along with Chad as well, and we taught at St. George's College in Kingston, and that's why I'm wearing this tonight. I now have to take off because it's unbelievably hot. But yeah, we taught and we coached at St. George's for 2 years, and during that time, over the summer, along with the help of some other Notre Dame alumni from Jamaica, we began Jumpball, and from there it's just kind of grown and grown and grown. The volunteer program doesn't exist anymore. However, Chad and I have kept Jumpball running, along with a heck of a lot of help from so many other people in Jamaica, in the U.S., in Haiti, and even one in the U.K.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
3 o'clock in the morning there, though. So, Chad, were you guys? I don't know that I've ever asked you this before. Were you guys pals in college, or did you guys become friends when you were in the program in Kingston together?
Yeah, I knew him, but I didn't like him.
He was a horrible guy in college.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to Micronesia. I signed up for Jamaica. No, we were both engineering majors, funny enough, and slightly different majors within engineering. So we kind of knew each other a little bit, crossed over a little bit, but didn't know each other really well. So yeah, we were thrust into it. We lived with 7 people in all.
And about 20 dogs.
20 dogs. A lot of dogs. But yeah, so we got thrust together, and like Bill said, we taught at the same school. And oh, by the way, we have a basketball team that needs some coaches, and that was a really cool thing. And that had a lot to do with us being, learning basketball in Kingston, meeting a lot of the coaches, Java, all that kind of stuff. So it really set the groundwork for running the camp.
Well, you guys didn't have a lot of coaching experience, did you, when you became head coaches at St. George's?
No. That's one thing to me. I was a horrible rec player. That was probably, I might have had like an 8-point game once in rec. Chad had a bit more basketball experience.
Well, what was that like? What was it coaching at St. George's like? Organized chaos.
Yeah,
that was great. I mean, the first thing was that the turnout at tryouts was unbelievable. So we ended up being able to, for people that don't know, St. George's is an all-boys school, and they had a basketball team. But when we got there, we were amazed at how much participation just expanded. I think we talked it up a lot in our classes at St. George's, so a lot of our kids came out for the team. But we were able to field an A team, a B team, and a C team. In fact, one year I think we even had 2 C teams maybe. So we had 3 age groups of teams, and it was a blast. I mean, I think the kids enjoyed kind of the novelty of having 2 guys from America coaching their basketball team. Certainly, it's fun now to look back on some of the games that our teams had against other coaches that are working with Jumpball now, in Jamaica. One of them in particular I remember very well, and I think Capo remembers it as well. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with it.
So, okay, Jumpball celebrated 25 years last summer, was year 25, but you guys didn't do year 1, right? That was put together by John Gussie. Am I correct about that?
Not exactly. You got most of it right.
Yeah.
John will get a lot of credit for other things, but maybe not that one. So actually, the program that Bill referred to started the year before we were there, and so a couple of people from the Notre Dame volunteer program, along with some of the volunteers from that year put on a camp. Wasn't named Jumpball at that time, but it was a first stab at a camp. And I think even though it was the first time, amazingly enough, they got Digger Phelps to come. I think somebody had a connection there. And
tell people who Digger Phelps was at the time.
Well, I think everyone knows.
Yeah, just ask them.
They didn't know at that time either.
Yeah.
He is the former Notre Dame men's basketball coach.
Highly successful.
70s, 80s. He's on there. I don't know if he's still on ESPN.
Coach to take Notre Dame to a Final Four, I believe.
Yep. So, pretty renowned guy.
So it was a good get to have a guy like Digger Phelps to come down and do the first clinic for Jumpball. As it turned out, it wasn't his cup of tea. Yeah,
I think probably overqualified for him, and I don't know that he necessarily had the, I think one of the most important skills is no matter how well you know basketball, you've got to be in touch with the younger kids and at the very fundamental level, and how to communicate with them in a way that is meaningful and motivating to them. So, as much, fame as he had, and probably as successful a coach we've had aside from you, Rick.
It's been downhill ever since then. The head coaches of Jumpball have progressively got worse. Okay, so year number 2, what ended up happening?
Year number 2, we had Digger didn't come back. We went with a different coach, Ed Pepple, who's a legend out in the Pacific Northwest. I think, Rick, you played for him, right?
No, I didn't play for him, but I coached with him.
Okay. Well, Ed Pepple, I think, might have been he was one of the winningest coaches in high school basketball. He's in the High School Basketball Hall of Fame. And just a tremendous guy. He was so good with the kids. And we had a great time with him. And he kind of created a really great format that, we've modeled, the program after with some adaptations and plenty of changes along the way. But he kind of set a really good format for it, and he was tremendous, had great energy. I mean, some of our, one of the things that's amazing about Jumpball is that our players come back year after year, and so many of those players become coaches. And some of our coaches, that were maybe there when Pepple was there, they still remember his thing where he'd say, ears, and you have to grab your ears.
To get their attention.
To get their attention, yeah. And so he was just great. And like you said, then we're progressively down from there with our coaching caliber.
So Coach Pepple put in a year. You went Digger Phelps, Coach Pepple, and then year number 3 came. And to my thinking, that's kind of the year things really kind of got off the ground for Jumpball.
The beginning of the Omar Parker era.
So wait a second. The what era?
Whoa!
Oh!
Good thing you brought him in there before we said something bad.
I know. I had to hurry up and click it on before you said something.
What's up, guys?
Hey, hello.
Hey there.
How you doing?
Doing well. How about you guys?
Doing great. Great.
Coach Bill, talk about that first year you brought Omar on. Like, what were you probably didn't have expectations. You hadn't met him before. You guys just hooked up over the phone and like, I'm coming down, and tell me about that, Bill, from your perspective.
Yeah, we just put a lot of faith in a recommendation, and knew he was from the Seattle area, so we figured he had to be good. Omar, you played under Pepple, right?
No, you got that one right. Finally, we were 1 for 2.
So he was recommended by Pepple, and Omar did an awesome job. Again, kind of took the format, that original format that we had, we've still stuck with. And Omar was just a blast to have down there. On the court and off the court, and we still find ourselves throwing around some jokes back from the time when we were doing this with Omar. So it was the beginning of just a great. This is what I think every year when I go down there. It's just kind of like an odd clique, an odd fun like family reunion of people from all over, and we all, we're all from different parts of the world, different walks of life, but we all come together, as a team to, really throw ourselves into this grueling thing that we do, and it's great to have everybody aboard for that. And what a nice surprise to see Omar.
Omar, what was it like for you that first time going down? You walk off the plane probably with no idea really what's going on, what you've got yourself into. You meet these two guys. Just give me first impressions right away, and then kind of what your experience was like the first couple of years.
Well, Coach Meppel, different than Digger Phelps, had a great experience there, but the only thing he told me was this is a young man's camp. They need somebody young that can run this. And being young, I didn't fully understand what that meant, but I thought going to Jamaica would be great. And he said that it was going to be good. I talked to Bill and Chad on the phone, and I remember getting off the plane and not knowing what Bill looked like. This was before the internet or anything. And this long-haired dude that had less hair on his face than he does now, but more hair on his head, and in a tie-dye, just coming running up and all excited and grabbing me. And we went to the hotel and started talking. I didn't really know, the Kingston airport is a little bit daunting for the first time you go. But I remember Bill being there especially and grabbing me and taking care of me and getting me through. And then we started talking about it.
If I did it right,
go ahead, Bill.
I think I had a cold red stripe for you, which has become kind of tradition at the airport.
I think that is probably true. I think that broke the ice immediately.
Chad, what do you remember about the early years at St. George's and Jumpball? Because it's certainly changed since we moved to the National Stadium. Tell us, kind of your perspective on the early years of Jumpball.
Yeah, a lot to talk about there, but the one thing for sure I remember is the preparation that went into it. So the courts were great because there were space for 4 full basketball courts. We had hoops on 2 of them. So with that, plus the portable hoops we brought in, we could expand to quite a space. But they were paved, and over the time during the course of the year, the gravel, it was pretty loose, and we had to sweep it up. Otherwise, it would be a mess. So there was always that day before the camp, or 2 days, whatever it was, and we just came out of there covered in, soot, and filled up a couple of barrels. And Omar,
with gravel.
If you jumped in there one year, Omar, I think the next year you were pretty insistent on doing laminating cards the next.
Yes.
I remember that well, that we have any player or coach that's been through Jumpball knows the little laminated player cards that we have. Now we've advanced, and we make, my family, in fact, pitches in to get that done a few days before we head down to Kingston. But it used to be that we would have them laminated down in Kingston. And so Omar wised up, and he bagged out that second or third year. Instead of sweeping all that heavy gravel and shoveling all that gravel off the courts, he decided to laminate. And later that day, I remember when we all met after a day of grueling work right before the camp, Omar was complaining about how burned his fingertips were.
Sounds about right.
Well, there's also one other thing that makes that story even worse. Not only did I do that, by my second or third year, I started bringing family members down to help with the camp, and I put a broom in their hand. So I got everyone.
Yeah, that's my first recollection of coming down. I was invited down by Omar, and I immediately got off the plane, and an hour later had a broom in my hand, while Omar was at the hotel, and I was sweeping courts, and I'm thinking, what did this guy get me into? And blistered hands, and like Chad said, 3 barrels full of gravel later, we had the courts ready to go for a week of camp.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I want to fast forward just a little bit. We started doing, and I think this was Omar's idea, but we started doing an all-star camp, right? And so we did, 3 years of an all-star camp?
I think a bit more than that. We did, it was great. We did a national, by invitation all-star camp started out for boys. I think we termed it 30 of the most promising basketball talents in Jamaica. And we came from all regions of the island.
It was 15. It was like 15 country kids and 15 Kingston kids, if I'm not mistaken. And we had a country versus Kingston game at the end of it. But my point in bringing that up is that, that's doubling the amount of work, and so we had to bring in some help, and so we brought in this guy.
What's
Coach
up,
Kyle.
guys?
Just let me know when Ben Peters is jumping on.
Well, believe me, I thought about trying to call Roman, but when I saw that it was 3 o'clock in the morning, I didn't think he'd be home yet, so I wanted to hold off on that. Coach Plank, thanks for jumping on, buddy.
Yeah, this is
yard
great.
name, tall man.
Yard name, gotta have a yard name.
So we were talking about, before this whole thing got started, of what sort of stories are we able to tell on the live stream, and what stories are appropriate to tell on the live stream, and what stories aren't appropriate to tell. So I will tell this story in the most appropriate way I can tell it, which is our first meeting of Coach Kyle. We had to drag him off the beach. We had to drag him off the beach to show up on time to camp. Coach Omar, do you remember that? Do you remember our first meeting with Coach Kyle?
Yes, and it wasn't because he was doing anything illicit. He was busy getting body painted.
Of course. Well, I mean, we're in Jamaica, for crying out loud, right? What else?
I think he was having a huge flamingo painted on his chest or something, and it was just running a little late. Like, we understood.
Coach,
listen, those coordinators, I mean, they know what they're doing. They just wrap you into this stuff. And I mean, come on, you're in Jamaica under the sun next to the water. I mean, why not? A little body paint.
Coach Chad, tell us how Coach Kyle got involved with Jumpball.
So Coach Kyle's connection goes back to my roommate in college, one of my roommates, his brother, Kerry. Kerry and Kyle live in Michigan, and Kyle's a year older, so often came down to school and got to know him, joined a spring break or two. So I got to know Kyle pretty well, and Kyle was a really good player, starter on Hope College team, Division 3, 2 or 3?
3, yeah,
3.
Division 3.
One of the best teams in Division 3. So, hey, Kyle, you want to come down? We got this camp going on. It's kind of cool. You might get to drink a beer and maybe get body painted. And he said, "I'm in."
I'm in. And it's sort of taken off from there.
It has taken off from there. And the thing I remember about that phone call, it was about 2 weeks before you guys were heading down. And it just came out of left field for me. He's just, hey, I help run this camp and wondering if you want to be a part of it. No, by the way, it's in 2 weeks. If you want to get yourself down there, we'll take care of the rest. Hell, why not? Let's go.
And that's the way it still works.
And that's the way it still works.
Coach Omar, I told you I wouldn't keep you long, but I just wanted to thank you for popping in and saying hi to these guys. I'm gonna let you go, but you were definitely one of the main catalysts of getting this started 25 years later. And had it not been for you bringing me down there, I wouldn't have been involved. And the camp is what it is today, mostly because of Chad and Bill, but you have a big hand in that too. So thanks for hopping on here and saying hi to those guys.
Well, I appreciate it, but I'm glad that you said that it's mostly because Chad and Bill, you know,
It definitely
they were the driving force behind it. They shaped it, you know, I would get going the wrong way sometimes I can remember wanting to do like stations at camp and how all the coaches do different things and Bill and Chad were able to kind of steer me back in the right direction and say, hey, look, man, this is how the camp has worked, and their experience and their understanding of the Jamaican people and all of that. It's just those two guys were great, and my experience down there has been fantastic. And Chad and Bill, I mean, look where we are today. Because of you, Rick's the national coach, and we're talking about we're on a live stream, and just all of this is because of you guys, and it's great memories for me. It's something I'm very proud of to be a part of, and was very proud to have my small part in the development. So thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Coach Parker, we'll talk to you later, man.
Okay,
later. So I think the thing that defines the Jumpball camp over 25 years, and it's cool to have Omar on. It's great to have Kyle on, but really the thing about the Jumpball camps has been the Jamaican coaches, and well, let's welcome in Onicia, who has been a stalwart at the camp. Coach Smelly, how are you?
Hey.
Are you doing good, Smelly?
I'm good. It's nice to see you guys. And I'm so happy I got to see Omar. Didn't get to say hi, but at least I saw him. I know that he's good too. It's nice seeing you guys. Hi, Kyle, Will, and Chad.
Hey, Smelly, good to see you.
Hey, Smelly, give me some history here, would you? I mean, God, we've known each other as long as I've been going, I think. You've been involved, how long, 20 years? Has it been at least 20 years or longer?
And about 20 years, since 2000, I think it is.
Were you a camper first, or did you just come in as a coach?
I went in as a coach. I went in the first day. I went in just to see what it was, all about and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, with this son, I don't think I'm going to be a camper. So I jumped right into coaching the very next day. And that time we were down by St. George's, and Omar was running the camp at that time. And
you've been back I think you went to Cuba for a year, or you left the country, for some studies or something, but you've been back. What keeps you coming back year in and year out? Why do you keep doing it?
I really just love working with the children. I love working with you guys. You guys make the work a bit more, easy. It's a tad, a bit easier for us. But it's just seeing the campers or children, growing each and every year, getting better at their skills and just becoming better individuals all around.
Yeah, can I interject something? One of the things that we've been doing is, I don't know, the last dozen years or so is that we have, the mission of the camp. Yes, it's about basketball, but it's about so much more. It's about self-esteem and teamwork, camaraderie, and we've instituted at one of our stations, along with dribbling and shooting, and one of the stations is team building. And team building is the station in which we really focus on a lot of the life skills that we try to teach. And I think that that's one of the most critical parts of the camp. It keeps it real fun, and it makes these connections between kids that might be from different neighborhoods in Kingston or from wherever we're holding Jumpball, and really creates that team atmosphere and lets the kids get to know each other. And one of the best coaches that we have running those stations is Smelly. She is just a master at that. And, a lot of the real special vibe that we've created about Jumpball is about how much fun we're able to make it. It's pretty demanding work for the kids and the camp and the coaches, but we keep it fun. And the work that Smelly does in those team building stations is just amazing. And to see how those kids just light up, it's just wonderful to watch. So thank you so much for that, Smelly.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Bill, because we talked about this team building station and how important that is to basketball, and trying to build something that isn't just the mechanics of it, right? And we just threw it into Smelly's lap and said, here, this is what we want to do. You go ahead and do it. And she ran with it, and it was just awesome. Smelly, do you remember just kind of taking that on and just making it your own?
I'm sorry, so sorry, Rick. I'm not hearing you so clearly.
I said, do you remember taking that project on? Do you remember taking that project on and making it your own, the team building?
If there's anything that I do to assist me with team building?
No, just taking the project on. What was it like taking that project on? I'm gonna take Smelly off here, and I'm gonna bring Nicholas. I'm gonna bring Nicholas in.
Oh! Good
Nicholas,
evening.
how you doing, buddy?
I'm great, guys.
I had to exchange Smelly for Nicholas because the audio wasn't working. And while we're at it, let's bring in Coach Rowan and see if we can get him in there.
Jeez. Blackest man.
Wow, it's dark.
Look at these guys.
Nicholas,
How you guys
how you doing, man? Tell us about your first journey into Jumpball.
Jumpball. I remember being at Jumpball as a kid. With Coach Rowan, Coach Smelly, Coach Ratty. He had Coach Ludlow. I remember having Bill, Chad, Rick, Kyle. You guys were basically mentors to me then, because at that stage as a kid, I was pretty much a lost kid, and I found myself through Jumpball in a lot of ways. The Jumpball had mentored me into the person I am today in a lot of ways as well. Going through Jumpball and becoming a coach basically was part of the game changer for me and my outlook on life and how I see things and approach things in general as it relates to camaraderie and teamwork and self-esteem. All of these things were embedded within me through Jumpball, because other than that I had no other option of knowing or being aware of these things. I mean, I'm a ghetto youth. I grew up in the garrisons where everything is hard to access if you don't have a loop or a link, as we would call it. So Jumpball basically helped to empower me into being a young black man, and being a father today. It has done a lot, because I'm seeing where it is playing its part in me being a dad also. You know what I mean? So I'm really thankful for Jumpball. I'm just really sorry that we're not able to host Jumpball this year due to the current situation, COVID-19. But
25 years.
I'm really pleased.
Instead of 25 years.
Bill?
Hold on a second, okay? Nicholas,
yeah.
I'm going to talk to Coach Kyle here. I know over the last few years, Kyle, Nicholas has been one of our top coaches, and he's worked, especially close with you. And I know that he's helped you out a lot too. And just kind of talk about what that's like working with Nicholas.
Well, I remember Nicholas as a camper as well. when he was coming up through the camp, and it's very, and this goes with teaching too. You don't often hear from people about the influence that you might have on them. And so it's great to hear what Nicholas had to say, and I'm just thankful to be a small part in that. And Nicholas is somebody who has taken his experience from Jumpball and has used it to give back to his community, and try to impart some of the things that he's learned. And he's someone that I've grown to count on. And I think that we have grown to count on as one of our most dependable volunteers there at Jumpball. And I think it speaks volumes about the kind of person that he is and the kind of impact that Jumpball and what Chad and Bill have been able to grow, the impact that they've had on the lives of kids in Kingston and the rest of Jamaica. So I think Nicholas serves as a good example for that, and it's been great to see him develop and become the person that he is.
Coach Bill, you guys identified early on that this wasn't going to be just a bunch of foreigners coming down and doing camp for a week and then going home and coming back, 52 weeks later. What was it that made you guys realize how important it was to have Jamaicans teaching?
You guys are breaking up.
Yeah, you're right, Rick. I mean, that's a huge part. Nicholas talked about the impact that Jumpball had on him, and I don't deny that. But the impact that Nicholas, for example, had on Jumpball is enormous, and he's just one of so many. We never wanted this to be a camp run by Americans teaching Jamaicans how to do it. That was never going to work. That's not what we wanted. We knew that this had to be a family, a partnership, and we all depend on one another. And we're, from the moment we started, we recognized that we were all going to have to be part of this for this to work. So it's everyone out there working together. Whether you're a Jamaican volunteer, a volunteer from the U.S., the same goes for Haiti. It's an international camp, and it happens to be Chad and I who are the founders of it. But this certainly is not, an American camp that comes down to Jamaica. This is a family reunion, an international family reunion every summer.
So I'm having a little difficulty with Nicholas's audio, I think, and he might be as well. I'm just Nick, I don't know if you can hear us, but I'm just gonna thank you for stopping in and saying hi, and we'll talk to you soon and let you know what's going on. If you can't hear us, we'll just wave goodbye right now, and I'm gonna take you off here, and I'm gonna move over to this gentleman right here, Mr. Robinson. It looks like you might have some shaky Wi-Fi as well. Owen, do you hear us okay?
Give a thumbs up.
I think Rowan is froze up as well, so I'm going to take him off and then just. What'd you say? Let's see here. I'm going to see. Is this?
Hey, wait, hold on. There we go.
We need a little light. We got Coach Skid and Coach Nina in there.
It's a family affair. Look at that.
It's a little dark.
It's a little dark. We need light.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me see. I'm gonna, we're gonna make this work somehow.
So those that don't know, we've just welcomed in the Dixon family,
Hey.
Coach Skid, his wife Nina, and Umar.
Hey guys.
I got to show you. Hold on a second. I showed Umar this a little bit earlier. This man we're looking at. Hold on a second. Right here in the middle, in the green, is also this little guy.
Look at that guy. Look
Right
at that
here.
guy.
So he's been in jump ball for a little while. How do you like that? How do you like that picture?
Oh man, that brings back so much memories, man. I miss Jill too, man.
Well, we tried to get Jill on the live stream today, and I'm going to throw her under the bus a little bit. It was her 50th birthday yesterday, and so she wasn't able to make it on here, but she sent her love to everybody and wanted to say hi.
They did.
Yeah. So Coach Chad, if you could just kind of tell us how instrumental the Dixon family has been in the growth of jump ball.
Yeah, where do you start on that one? First of all, Rick, happy birthday to you too. I know you and Jill share a birthday, which is how I remember every year. So
thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, I think we got to know you guys at different points in time. Skid early on with you. I think you've done it all at different points in time, being really strong in the basketball skills. I know you coach teams. A lot of guys really look up to you and in your ability to coach. And then you'd always, and still do, show up at one of the games after camp and you run around and dunk on people, and we wonder how you get younger. And then Nina, you weren't far behind. You've been a kind of jack of all trades and probably filled those roles that maybe aren't as glorious, but the camp doesn't run unless you're there. And so working the registration table and that front desk and handing out lunches and being the probably the cop at different times and the team building that was mentioned, you jumped into a few years ago and have been running that station for a while. So I know you guys have both been family for a long time. And then
so hey Chad, these three have something in common, and besides being family, but a few years ago, and everything's a few years ago to me now. So you guys started a college scholarship.
Yeah.
Talk about how that started and talk about how the Dixons fit into that.
Yeah, so tying it back to what you were saying a minute ago, how did we realize that the Jamaican community and coaches were going to be so important? We did know that from day one, but we also learned before long that if this camp was going to grow and grow larger to where we wanted it to be, we couldn't do it. And so teaching coaches and developing coaches, especially from players, was paramount. And one of the things we started to do as we gained some more funding was to develop a scholarship program. So for any the volunteer coaches who wanted to seek some sort of secondary degree, and it could be anything from 4-year college, community college, it really didn't matter. Those that applied, we gave one out every year, and it's one of the great things we've been able to do. And we announced it at the coaches party, and it's a lot of fun. And amazingly, over the few years, 3 of the award winners are sitting there in front of us. So to have done that, I think I remember every one of them individually. They're all special, but you guys are definitely a special part of jump ball.
So let me ask you, Coach Skid, let me ask you this. How did you first get involved? How did you find out about jump ball? How did you get hooked into it? Like when, give me that whole story.
The great Rowan Robinson.
Yeah.
On returning back to Jamaica, and I hung out with Rowan, and we went everywhere basketball, and we did everything basketball. And that first year, I think it was, what was the first year you guys came to the stadium?
2009, maybe? No.
6 or 7, around there. And it started there, and I've just been returning to jump ball ever since. But it was Ron Robinson that got me linked up with you guys.
And Nina, you're awesome. You're one of my favorite people. All three of you are really, some of my favorite people on the planet. But do you get drug along with this basketball thing, or were you a basketball fan to begin with, and you just you couldn't stay away, or how did you get involved?
Well, Skid, in the States, every weekend it was YBOA or AAU. So I was like a team mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then Umar, I pretty much had Umar in the gym. So I wouldn't say I was drug along. I think that I wanted to be a part of it because it was so exciting. I used to go to high school games and just freak out because of the competition and, just to see the athleticism and the talent. It was fun for me to go to basketball games. So coming to Jamaica and being a part is extra special.
What do you think? How do you think people look at jump ball down there in Jamaica? Is it talked about a lot? Is it a revered camp? Is it just another thing to do on a week in July? Where is it in people's eyes?
Jumpball is a benchmark event for kids in Jamaica and for the coaches who volunteer. It's something we look forward to every year. It's on our calendar every single year. And so it's a part of us. And the kids look forward to it. And then sometimes when you see them in competitions and how they've grown, and I'm like, this kid started at jump ball. I remember when he could not dribble. I remember he could not shoot. And this kid is now dunking and playing and being a really significant part to their teams. So I know that it's something that we look forward to every single year. And we love you guys, and we love when you come and visit us.
Well, speaking of kids who can't dribble and can't shoot, there's one sitting in between you right now that fell into that category. Not anymore. He certainly can do both very well now. But Umar, man, you've been with a basketball in your hand ever since back in these days that we were showing earlier. Just talk about jump ball a little bit, what it's meant for you growing up.
Well, growing up, jump ball was basically a platform where I could actually play with my age group, and I got to see, now being a coach, of how it was for a camper and a coach. And on the camper side, a lot of the kids who live in the inner city of Kingston, they have a chance for a good 4 days to come to do something that they actually like doing. And not only that, kids who don't really get to, let's say, per se, have a meal or get to go outside and do stuff that's safe or play in a safe environment, they get to do that for those 4 days. And just having the coaching staff around all the kids helped a lot of the campers not only learn, but just felt like they were loved and supported, So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm going to let these guys go because I'm excited. I'm going to talk to Skid on Friday on the live stream, and we're going to really break it down. Me and Coach Skid are going to do that on Friday, so we'll get a chance to connect then. But I'll let Chad, Bill, Kyle, any last word for the Dixons before I let them go to bed tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It's great to see you. Sorry we can't be down there this year.
Congrats, we look forward to next year.
Congrats, Kyle.
Yes, Daddy.
Thank you. It's been a long time. It's been a long time coming, Skid.
I ask the same question every time you get here. Kyle?
I know, and now I can finally say yes.
Welcome to the club.
All right, guys. Good night.
That's right.
See you later. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Let's see if Coach Rowan's. Are you better now, Rowan?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I am.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for jumping on with these guys, and it's kind of a little bit of a this is your life jump ball, 25 years. You're a
Yeah,
guy that's been there since the beginning, and you've had so many important roles. But I think the one that I'm going to ask Chad to talk about a little bit at first is just the role that you've taken on, extending jump ball from that week in Kingston and extending it into the rural camps around the island. And Chad, just talk about the role that Rowan has filled in making that happen.
Yeah. So Rowan, how you doing? Did you happen to see Bill's shirt when we started?
No, I didn't see it.
You'll like it.
Can you see that, Rowan? St. George's College.
Oh wow, yeah. That's vintage.
So Rowan, we got to know you from day one because you were associated with George's, and wasn't long before you probably saw these two crazy white American guys trying to coach basketball. And so we've known each other a long time. But yeah, I think we were running pretty successful in Kingston, and we said, I think two things. How can we expand jump ball within Jamaica? And as I alluded to before, how can we help continue the development of coaches, and particularly those coaches that were volunteering in Jamaica? How could we allow them to kind of run something on their own? And so we slowly, I think, got up to 5 or 6 locations, 2-day camps, teams of 3 that run them. They're responsible for all the logistics of the camp, coming up with a plan, and then Rowan's been instrumental in terms of actually the logistics and making that happen. I know we'll talk about John Gussie in a little while, but along with John, Rowan's been really instrumental in making that happen and getting the car ready and rounding everybody up, and
yeah,
I'm sure there's all kinds of tales to tell about hotels and car rides and things like that. I know it's a ton of work, but it's reached a lot of kids around the island, and it's really helped develop a lot of the coaches too within jump ball, and some of them have gone on to coach high school teams.
Rowan, talk about your perspective of that rural part of jump ball and what that's turned into now that you're kind of manning that on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah. First of all, let me say good night, guys. I know it's gonna be disappointing this summer for not having our camp, but I'll say it will happen. If it's God's will, it will, But it's been a pleasure working all these years, 25 years. I've been here, I think 54 years. I think when I was in Mexico, I think when I could attend one camp, and I really was so disappointed. So missing that year, But it's been great. It's been great. The rural camps, we used to have at least 7 camps. We used to have 2 camps that is not was not anymore. 3, 8 used to be Portmore, Portland, Negril, and then you have right now we have these remaining 5. We have Montego Bay, we got Manchester and Mandeville, then we have Ocho Rios,
Santa Cruz.
we have Aracabesa, and they have been doing very well. They have been doing very well. The camps have grown so much that we could see that the players were growing. And Santa Cruz, we have players that I see now playing on the national teams, especially from girls, playing on the national team. There's Ashley Gard and so forth. Some of the youngsters getting scholarships from in the rural area also to attend University Kingston. So it's been wonderful. The camps have been so instrumental to many of these kids, and to these young coaches where we could train them, because for me, actually, I started out the same way too. Coaching, I get into coaching just because of jump ball. When the camp and still easy, the camp was coaching was breakdown by Omar and so forth. I loved it. So I was just playing and into referee because I wanted to become a FIBA official. And then I just decided from the first jump ball camp I attended, that was my referee career was out the window. I wanted to coach. And just teach you guys from everybody out there to where today I'm a national coach, coaching, carrying the team all over the world to coach and so forth. I owe everything to jump ball. Just the person being around you guys, learning how to communicate, or team building, all of these things. I really appreciate everything that you guys have been doing. You have been so incremental in my life and to a lot of kids, you understand, and so forth, who are playing professional overseas and so forth. This is where they started. It's a camp that they look forward to every year to see to see everyone again doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know? So yeah,
Rowan.
especially in John's camp in Jacks River, where we have in Jacks River where we have the most campers at up to 50 to 60 persons turning out in Jacks River.
So we've got one more friend waiting in the wings that I'm going to welcome in, but Rowan, I want to ask you just two other questions, and then I'm going to let you go. I guess the first question I'm going to ask you is, 25 years ago, did you ever think that you'd be doing, what you saw at St. George's with, 50 or so kids? Did you ever think that 25 years later that this thing would still be going? And then the second question after that would be, if you, off the top of your head, if you're able to reel off just some of the really good Jamaican players that have come through jump ball and gone on to play at other places.
Oh, trust me, I knew that the camp would be it's gonna be running for some time based on how each year it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So I knew that it would be running for a long time based on what we were seeing. Each year it just gets bigger and bigger. We have to be turning back kids. So once I saw the growth of the camp, I didn't have any doubt that it would run for a long time. But 25 years is a very long time, It's a very long time in terms of that. For that. In terms of players who come through the camp, we have a few players who went overseas, playing professional. We got Mugabe Thomas who went through the camp. We have Daniel Rose from in Ocho Rios. We got you Robbins also in Ocho Rios. So forth. Person who gets scholarship going up. We have Sean Plummer. We had a lot of players. We have a lot of players who went through it. Can't get most of them off most of them names right now. But you have a lot of players who, when you play basketball, you live in Kingston, you have to go to Jumpball camp. Have to. It's a must. That's the place to be in the summer. You have to circle that. So if you haven't been to Jumpball camp, your summer has been wasted. That's the place to be.
Rowan, thank you for jumping on. Bill, Chad, you want to say anything to Rowan before I let him go?
Well, Rowan, Rick asked earlier about why it was necessary to have Jamaican coaches involved, as well. When I look at these kids that come through the doors, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 15-year-old kids, who are they going to look up to? Is that kid from West Kingston going to look up to me? I see the way that these kids respond to you and the other Jamaican coaches that are out there. And it's like, you have such a positive impact on every one of them. You show them how much they matter, how much you love them. And I think, we all try to do that. But you're someone who's always been incredibly good at that. And it's incredibly appreciated. And you do such a wonderful job, helping to mold and shape those kids that come through jump ball. And we're so much better for it. So thank you so much, Rowan.
All right.
Rowan,
Thank you,
good.
guys. Thank you. And thank
Good,
you
good to see you,
for
bud.
getting involved. All right. Good to see you all too.
Thanks, bud. Later.
See you, Rowan.
Okay, there goes Rowan. So this person has been patiently waiting, and I can't emphasize enough with 4 old faces on the screen how we have to get younger right away. And
Hello.
so here's young Taylor, who makes this look way better.
I feel
Are you still a newlywed, or is that time past now? Because I've alluded to this a couple of times. I just had a birthday yesterday. I'm feeling old. Time goes by so fast when you're old. It just seems like you just got married.
I know. I go back and forth of feeling like quarantine has made it feel like we've been married for a really long time, or like it was yesterday because nothing's changed. I go back and forth every day.
Yeah. Coach Taylor, thanks for you represent a few things for Jumpball. One of which is, if I'm not mistaken, you were one of the Notre Dame interns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how you got started. And Chad, Bill, you guys touched on it a little bit ago in terms of the scholarships, but a few years before that, you started an internship program at Notre Dame, in which Taylor was a part of, and we've had a lot of great Notre Dame students come through, each year that's impacted the program in positive ways. Taylor's one of them.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
We prefer to call it a service experience, not an internship. But hey, we developed a great partnership with Bookstore Basketball, which is a real fun thing at University of Notre Dame. Taylor could tell you more about it, but world's largest 5-on-5 outdoor basketball tournament, and takes a lot to organize that at Notre Dame. So we open applications for the bookstore commissioners to apply to volunteer for a week with Jumpball Kingston, and they've added a lot to the program, and it's a really cool way to get the university thinking about how what they do through bookstore impacts others beyond just the campus of Notre Dame. So that's been a really integral part of Jumpball over the last dozen years or so, and Taylor has been one of our best past volunteers from Bookstore, and now she's a big part of the program.
I think you say that because I just keep coming back. But I mean, yeah, it's so great. I mean, one of the real neat things was just getting, to be a part of Bookstore Basketball on campus and just learning that there was, a program going on that was so related. You think about that. I mean, why get involved in a big basketball tournament? Because you see the value of athletics and what it can do, and you probably love basketball. So, I mean, it was just great to kind of continue that experience, come on down to Jumpball, get to be a part of it all these past years. I've loved it so much.
Hey, before there's something I want to talk with you guys about, but before we do, we got to let Coach Kyle go because it's getting late back east. I know that. I'm out on the West Coast where it's still daylight outside. My night is
East time zone, baby. Come
on. My night is just starting.
You got time to get out on the sound.
But we are going to let you go. Going to let you go, and thanks for popping in with these guys.
Bill, Chad, good to see you. Taylor, nice seeing you. RT, I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good, my man.
Guys.
Good luck. Later.
Good luck, pal.
All right. So here's what.
I feel like we need to call Marcus to round up some motorcycles.
Well, that was where I was going with this conversation. Is I wanted to ask you, I guess, let's talk about Haiti for a second. Who had the idea about getting Haiti started? And I just want you to talk about that because it's a pretty cool story. It happened right after the earthquake. And was it, Chad, was it you and Jill that had gone and scouted it and seen how devastated it was? Just kind of like get in on that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, so we were, Bill and I think Jill was there too at the time, and I think we were in Jamaica probably having our red stripe and talking about how we wanted to expand and do something else in the Caribbean, and really, you don't just show up in a country you don't have any ties to, or and so we really didn't know quite what to do about it. And Jill, I think, in the next few months, stumbled upon an experience in a priest at Notre Dame. Bill, I'm forgetting who it is. Father, tell me out here.
Father Street.
Father Street, thank you. Who was running a program in Leogan, a couple hours outside of Port-au-Prince, partnering with the local hospital there to rid Haiti of, I'm going to forget the name of it, but essentially elephantitis is what it was. So they had a full-blown program down there, a property, essentially kind of a dormitory that they had volunteers and missions come and stay in, and it just fell into our lap. And so first you've got to have, you got to have safety, right? You've got to have somebody who can pick you up at the airport. You got to have a place to stay. So all that was covered. And oh, by the way, they had a basketball court, probably one of the few in the country that had 2 full courts, all of a mile and a half from where we were staying. So it really fell into place. You're right. Jill and I flew down there to check it out, and it checked all the boxes. And I think within a year from sort of that conception of we need to do something else, we were down there doing it. So it fell into our lap, and it's been great.
And Taylor, you've been one of the people that have been able to have that Haiti experience. The 3 of us, Chad, Bill, and I, have been every year, and then it's sort of rotated through with some people. And you've been down there a couple of times. Remember what that was like for you the first time going to Haiti?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly different. The programs are the same, the fundamentals are there, but just the way that camp is done just seems different. I mean, I've tried before when I've come back to, really compare Kingston to Haiti, and you really can't. They're both great in their own ways, and they're just so different. I mean, I think one of the greatest differences in the hurdles that we've all kind of gone through is the language barrier, which always gets it. But thankfully with basketball, you can show a lot of things. You just demonstrate the best you can. Yeah, I mean, that camp's a little bit shorter, so, you adjust as you can, but I mean, you still get the same impact across, and it's just been great to kind of see that from 2 separate countries being able to do that.
Coach Bill, did it surprise you that how similar the camps were, or did you kind of expect, I mean, kids are kids. It doesn't matter whether you're in China, where I spent a year, or whether you're in Haiti or Jamaica or LA or New York or wherever you are, kids are kids, and the camp, the basketball, all of that is pretty much the same. Did that surprise you at all, or were you kind of expecting that?
Well, I don't know if I was expecting it or not, but it is pretty amazing how, like you said, kids are kids. And it's funny to think, that, old people like us, we know that old commercial, "Where's the beef?" But, you use that as a training, tactic with shooting, balance, elbows, eyes, follow through. And so it's funny to think that we have a whole another generation or a couple generations of kids saying that in Jamaica, and they've never seen that commercial before. And we've got a whole other set of kids in Haiti who, a lot of them don't speak English, yet they know how to say "where's the beef." So yeah, it's funny and we play on the bubble shooting game in Jamaica, and we play it in Haiti, and we have kids in both those places. And now my kids here at home, when we play, chanting "pop that bubble, pop that bubble." So yeah, it's great to see the similarities, and it just shows you that the kids want to have fun. And our mission, of course, is pretty high-minded in that we talk about self-esteem and teamwork, dedication, camaraderie, sportsmanship. I think I got them all, and the fundamentals of basketball. But if nothing else, to give kids a chance to have fun, for free for a week over the summer. That's what it's all about, and we're so happy that we're able to be part of that. for, I think at this point we estimate about over 20,000, kids that have been through. So we're pretty psyched about that, and so glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, it's late for you guys, and we can talk forever about stuff, and we will when we see each other and when we talk again. But there's things about this, that I talk to players about often. It's not when you look back in your playing career, you never remember the games. You can't. You go back and you don't remember whether the score was, 59-51 when you were playing in the 7th grade against, whoever's team. But you remember the stuff that happened at the restaurant, or you remember the trip you took to this place, or you can go back and you can name all the kids that were on your team. And there's usually like a story about all of them. And so that's what this is for me over 20 years. It's just been a ton of stories. I look at this picture, which is at the top of Blue Mountain.
Wow.
Which is really cool. And kind of an accomplishment for a fat guy like me at the time, making it to the top there. I look at us dining at the finest restaurant in Leogan, Haiti.
Okay, girl.
Or the many coaches' parties, whether they're in Haiti or at Ronnie's. And that's what this thing is, right? It's experiences that you're building. The basketball part of it's great, and you hope that kids could take things away from it, but we're providing them experiences as well as getting to have experiences of our own. Let me ask you about Ronnie's a little bit, and for those that aren't kind of in that Jumpball family thing. We do a coach's party at the end of every camp, and I mean that's just turned out it's incredible. And there's a story like every single year from Ronnie's, and how did Ronnie get involved, and it's just a cool story. So one of you jump in there and talk about Ronnie's, and we don't need to get into specific stories, but talk about that just a little bit, and then we'll end with our harrowing escape from Port-au-Prince.
Well, I think this is probably where we do a little homage to John Gussie, who you threw out his name earlier. He was at the first camp, although he didn't organize it. Was a Peace Corps volunteer who, while in Kingston, caught some poster that said basketball camp at St. George's, and John said, "Yeah, sure, I'll stop by," and he did, and he's stayed ever since. We met him the next year, and he's been one of our best friends. In Kingston, he came to Haiti with us to start her off there, and so I was hoping maybe you could pull him on, but I know he might be busy tonight. But the reason I mentioned his name is he was our connection to Ronnie, so he had connected with him, I think, at part of a kite festival, and Ronnie has a place not far from Kingston, maybe 20 minutes down the road, that's on the coast. Amazing house that. Simple but amazing house right on the water, and part of in lieu of salaries, right? Because the whole deal is kids get in free. It doesn't matter where they come from. They don't pay a dime, and so through bookstore basketball and all our other donors, and the fact that we don't pay coaches, right? None of us here get paid. None of the coaches get paid. It's purely volunteer. And one of the perks, I guess, is that we throw a party at the end of the week in Kingston. So probably Rowan or Smelly or Nicholas could probably give you a better explanation of what that means and how cool it is, but it's cool. And, it's the time of the week where you kind of, you're out of the hot sun, you've been through it, and now you just get to hang out with each other and, cook up food, and like Jamaicans do, they turn on the music and have a great time. It's been awesome.
So, Taylor, does anyone, when you go to Haiti, if your family's anything like my family, they ask me 100 times, is it safe? Are you guys going to be okay? Have you checked? Is everything all right? Do you get the same from the people in your world as well?
Yeah, the first time you guys invited me down to Haiti, I called my mom and I was super excited. I'd already said, yes, I'm coming. And I was like, I'm going to Haiti. And she's like, no, you're not. Like, you're not going. And then, I just told him it's fine. We'll figure it out. I mean, for me, I felt like it was a calculated risk, if not any. You live and learn.
Okay, so Coach Bill, before we let everyone off here, this is the beginning of, or I should say the middle of an interesting story. Do you want to take it from there?
Yeah. Well, I think for the full story, I think people will have to look for the eventual Jumpball documentary that will come out hopefully in a couple of years. But that was leaving Port-au-Prince 2 years ago, and I mean, I can't say too much more other than it was a difficult exit.
Well, let me jump in, okay? Because it's Chad, am I right? It's about a 90-minute trip from from Leogane where we stay, about a 90-minute trip to the Port-au-Prince airport.
Yep.
And we had flights, I think, at noon, right around there, where they were all pretty close together, and it was the four of us. And we got in the van. If I'm not mistaken, we got Taylor, Chad, help me out. We left around 6:30. Does that sound about right, or is that a little early?
Some ungodly hour, yeah.
Yeah, 6:30 for an hour and a half trip to Port-au-Prince for a flight at noon. So you do the math. We're supposed to be in Port-au-Prince at about 8 o'clock in the morning for a noon flight. So we set out on our journey, and we get kind of right to the outskirts of Port-au-Prince, and the traffic gets a little congested. And there's no air conditioning in the van, and it's
the least of our problems.
Well,
it was really hot though.
The point is it's hot. Yeah. So our driver seems to know what he's doing, and he takes some side streets, and he ends up on the main road that gets you to the Port-au-Prince airport. And we are sitting in traffic, and we're there for literally hours, not really moving more than about 100 meters, 100 yards or so. And it gets to be, I want to say, about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And our driver gets on the phone, and he's talking in French or Creole, and we can't understand what he's saying. And the next thing we know, he turns around and starts heading back to Leogane. And we're all kind of looking at each other. This is how I jump in if I'm getting anything wrong. But we're looking at each other going, whoa, wait, what's going on here? We're not going back to Leogane. So we go into scramble mode. We're trying to get on the phone to our interpreter, and which I think we finally tracked one of them down. Who was it? Marcus, I think. And Marcus said, pull over. And so we pulled over into like a little mini mart area, and Marcus came and met us in the parking lot. And he was on a motorcycle. Everyone's riding motorcycles. So he calls some friends of his, and each of us get our own motorcycle taxi to go to the Port-au-Prince airport. But we also have all of our luggage. So here's our picture of Coach Bill, right as he's the first one to leave.
Looking confident.
And he has the least amount of bags of any of us. And I remember I usually try to travel light if I can. And for whatever reason, I said, to heck with it. I'm just going to pack a big, huge bag. So I had a humongous suitcase that I had in between me and my driver. And then I had another bag that I was holding on behind me. So I was holding on behind me with the bag like this. I had the big suitcase in between us. I had my arm around him right here. And then each of you guys left, and I was kind of the last. I wanted to make sure everyone else got off.
Yeah, and Rick, you were holding off, I think, waiting for a motorcycle that might have had air conditioning.
I think so. Yeah, that was probably right.
Gasoline.
Ugly American. And we take off through absolutely gridlocked roads. So what had happened is this 2-lane road, 2 lanes going each way, had 6 lanes across going in one way, and it was blocked up. And we didn't know why. We were worried that it may have been some political unrest happening. And so we get on these motorcycles, and it was literally the most harrowing experience I've had, dodging through traffic, going through mud. My guy stopped for gas on the way.
Yeah,
we're racing.
The biggest thing that I think was a little scary to me is that we all went different ways.
Yeah.
Like we never saw each other the whole ride. I think I saw Chad once, and then it was like we were gone. Like we were all taken some secret way, not together.
And then we got and me and my guy, and I think, Bill, this happened to you too, got about a half a mile from the airport, and he got stopped by the police, who wouldn't let him go any further, whether he didn't have a proper license or whatever. I had to get off the motorcycle and then run to get to the airport, and I was praying that the 3 of you got there okay, and against all odds, we all got there. We all made our flight. It was amazing.
Yeah. That was our last. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get back to Haiti since, but we want to. And so overall, I think we got to look at this year just as a pause, as a breath. After 25 years, take a deep breath. The next round is going to be pretty amazing. And so for the 2 or 3 people that might still be watching, if they are, we're certainly going to be back for number 26 in Jamaica next year. And this summer, we're going to try to do some interesting, fun things online. Still trying to be creative about that. So stay tuned. And all this is leading up eventually to Paris 2024 for the big
right. That's right. We'll all be there. I hope so.
So, Rick.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you. We've given credit to everyone and their brother here, but you deserve a lot of it. You've been around for 20 plus years, whatever it is, everything from shoveling gravel to becoming the Jamaican national basketball coach. So congratulations. You've earned it. I know that, you've got, Jamaica's in your heart, in your blood, and they're lucky to have you, and you'll do great things with the program. And I'm really happy for you and excited for the team.
No, thanks for saying that. I appreciate it. And the cool thing about it is, like, we had Omar on here earlier, who's part of the staff. We have Coach Kyle on here earlier, who's part of the staff. We have Coach Rowan on here earlier, who's part of the staff. I was hoping to have Stumbo on, but he got held up. He popped in and said hi on the chat. But we've got Coach Stumbo. We've got Coach Morgan, who I don't know whether I've talked to you. I think I did talk to you guys about this. He was a former jump ball camper. In fact, he was a camper of the day or a camper of the week, and he's now the head coach at GC Foster, and he's part of it. And so, if we're able to do what we hope and expect we're going to do, we're going to have a huge debt of gratitude to what you guys got going a number of years ago. But I don't want to break our arms patting each other on the back. That's not why I wanted to do this. But thank you for saying that, and just know that's true. And like I said, if we do get it, and when we get it to where it's going to be, that hope you guys are a part of it as well. So do you guys do camps in both countries each year, or do you alternate or split your team up between countries? No, No, we do both countries every year. Or we've tried to. We couldn't do Haiti last year because of some what would you call it? Political unrest, I guess.
Yeah.
There are just often challenges, so
yeah. And then the pandemic this year. But the three of us, Bill, Chad, and I, have been able to go to Haiti every year, and Taylor's come in at least 2 or is it 3 times? Yeah, 2 times, and so we bring a group of about 6 down there for that. So anyway, yeah, thanks you guys. Appreciate you doing this, and just appreciate everything you've done for so long for everybody. And I don't know, is that it? Are we done? Sorry to keep you so long, an hour and a half.
We're done for now.
Yeah.
I want to do it again. Thank you very much, Rick.
All right, man. Taylor, thanks for jumping on with these guys.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, see you later. Coach Chad, Coach Phil, we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for doing it. Thanks. All right. Thanks for hopping on, you guys. Appreciate it. We went a little